In 2010, I would start dating Brad, a man with his own goals who wasn't afraid of a woman with grit, ambition, and motivation to succeed in her own career. 2011, we married, and in 2012 came the news that there would be a new little bundle of joy. It was during this time of what my doctors so delicately called a geriatric pregnancy that I became painfully aware of just how little the corporate world cares for the individual. This was the beginning of my series of moments that led to my personal turning point. I say that because my turning point is not so much a specific moment, but a series of moments within a much larger disaster that led to a decision to start back at the beginning or utilize the reversal strategy. I was working for a very large hotel in the middle of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and while it's probably the reason that I have crow's feet and frown lines, I really did love the work. And I worked for my boss, who was an evil witch, and she didn't care about me or my pregnancy. And let's call her moment number one. Now, I worked up until the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy. It was very difficult. I was on track to have a very large baby. She wasn't small. She ended up being about 8 pounds. And I was looking forward to my 12 weeks off. As it turned out, I had one friend from work visit on a social call. The next that I heard from was asking about a group or questions about this and questions about that. As it turned out, I ended up cutting my maternity leave 2 months short and going back early. We'll call that moment number 2. During 2013 football season, there was a very important football game coming up that had my hotel completely sold out. And while working with the group, on November 1st, I get a call at work that you never ever want to get. My mom's on the line telling me to come home. It's my dad. I go to tell the Wicked Witch I'm leaving, and she starts giving me some line about I should wait and get more information, and I stop her right there, and I say my mom needs me, and I go. I went to pick up my girls, and I immediately go to meet my mom at the hospital, but it was too late. My dad was gone. Things began moving very fast at that point. The next day, we would be leaving for West Virginia for my dad's funeral. I'd left very explicit details about everything there could be about the football team and the band that was coming and how much food and how much was needed for the next few days. However, the amount of needs was beyond the scope of anything these directors understand, and they were panicking. But all of them were in higher positions of authority than I, so I would have had to defer to them in any situation anyway. Keep in mind, 300 rooms, but 4 cadets per room. However, I made the mistake to say, call me in an emergency. I was with my family at my father's funeral, and their idea of an emergency was that their group ran out of bacon that morning. Bacon. That was moment 3. Time passed. I was headed down to get into my car. My heels hit a frozen puddle in Louisiana. A frozen puddle. I hit the ground, flat on my bottom, and after this fall, things really started to hurt, and in a big way. I went to a doctor who sent me to physical therapy, but after only a few sessions, I lost all feeling from the waist down. They scheduled me for immediate surgery. I was in the following Monday. A disc had gotten tangled in nerves, and he was able to get part of it, but it was going to take another surgery to get the rest of it, and there might be some nerve damage. They weren't sure. It might be permanent. Only time would tell. After 2 very difficult surgeries and an even more difficult recovery, my hotel that I had been so loyal to and given everything to let me go. That was moment number 4. But that was also when there came time for a silver lining. Since I wasn't working and it was summer, it was a perfect opportunity to head to wild, wonderful West Virginia. We already had a home there. This was where we had happy memories, and if y'all have never seen it, it is breathtakingly beautiful. Also, as luck would have it, the neurosurgeon there was able to catch that I had had a mini stroke in my spine. It was going to require another urgent surgery that would result in a litany of problems over the next couple of years. It was good times. But this whole ordeal gave me a lot of time to ponder my next logical steps. I had to look at the reversal strategy. What do I do? What gives me the freedom to work from home, allows me fluid hours, to work around my kids, but also allows me to stop, rest, stretch, or anything I need? It's art. But I don't want to teach. I knew this much. But it's 2016 and everybody uses art for everything now. Or maybe they always did and I just thought teaching was the only way to go. So I talked to an advisor at our local university and I enrolled. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, and I unceremoniously graduate with a major in studio art, a concentration in painting, and a minor in museum studies. After a few bumps in the road, I had to take a good and thorough personal inventory. I needed help, and I needed a good turning point. So I needed to look at my work. That was number one. I needed to have a measurable purpose. I refused to waste the art education I already had. So what in my turning point was going to work with my art? That's where taking a media design master's came into play. It's going to give me the skills to connect my artwork and design with my client's brand or image to represent them in a marketplace of the future. Then I had to take stock of what's going to be relevant and realistic to my current degree and to me. Therefore, when the three of them come together, it'll create a more employable asset. I had to fit in with my abilities. I have to admit, I'm no more spring chicken. I spend 3 days a week in physical therapy with a knee that has been replaced, and approximately a third of my spine has been fused in metal cages. Everything hurts except for my eyes. I have to keep it realistic. So that brings me to today, a humbled artist needing a little something to help her passions grow, a mom that wants to provide for both of her daughters every possible need that they have or thing that they want, a wife who wants to be a partner again and not a burden or a financial stress, and a human being who just wants to be the best version of themselves that they can be.